Hello. We traveled with our children for the first time, and it was their first long flight experience. And it turned out well, actually. As expected, traveling with children can feel exhausting and overwhelming, and that is totally fine. However, with the required preparation as much as you can, it will turn out fine. For us, what we did was that after booking our flight, we kept a close tab of when it was possible for us to select our seats. Now, even though we are traveling as a family, for some airplane rules, it is compulsory for families to sit together. However, it is good that you have control of the seat selection, especially if you're able to select your seat. What we did was that while selecting our seats, we kept into consideration the location of the toilet because regular toilet visit is expected with children, whether it's for diaper change or the regular, toilet visits, right? So we also kept that into consideration and we selected our seat in a way that we could easily navigate the toilet. So that's one thing. Another thing we did online before the travel date was selecting the kids menu. We selected the low sodium menu and the kids menu. What we noticed was an advantage doing this before time was that people who had special menus were served first before other persons were served. If it matters to you, that is something you want to consider. With the kids having their meal first before us, it felt calmer and less overwhelming preparing them for their meal. So we had time to get the table set and get them to start their meal before our own meal came. And by the way, the food tasted nice. Most importantly, try as much as you can to select your seats before your travel date. And you can also try selecting the kids menu also. Ensure that you're properly checking before the travel date. So for the flights, in preparation for the flights, what we did was to dress the children appropriately in accordance to the temperature changes. What I mean is that we dressed the kids in layers. We dressed them in a way that during change in temperature, we could easily take off clothes or put on clothes. For example, so we're traveling from the Netherlands to Nigeria using Lufthansa Airlines. So that means that there was going to be a stopover in Germany. So what we did was that we layered their clothes. We had like short sleeves, long sleeve, and sweaters. We also carried our jackets in our carry-on bags because in Germany there was going to be about 1 hour wait time and the airport was going to be cold. So we ensured that our jackets was in our carry-on bags. However, during the flight, especially the longer flight, there could be times where the temperature in flight would feel either warm or cold. It was easy for us to either take off a layer of clothes or add a layer of clothes. So that is what I would advise that you put into consideration when dressing the kids. You don't want a situation where you will feel stranded. So dress your kids in layered clothing so that you can easily take off a clothing or put on a clothing, depending on the situation and the temperature. And for layovers or stopovers, you want to ensure that you have your jackets, depending on the weather actually. You want to ensure that you have your jackets in your carry-on bag, not just for the kids, but also for the parents or the adults. Because if you're not comfortable, it's going to reflect on the children. And for what to pack along for the trip, especially in your carry-on bags during the flight. So one of the things we did was that we asked the kids to select two stuffed animals that will be going along with them to Nigeria. So they decided on what stuffed animals to be going with. And out of the two stuffed animals that they selected, we had one set in the check-in bags and we ensured that we had the other set with us in flight. And for our toddler, she had a knapsack that also doubled as her check-in bag that she could carry along with her. In her knapsack, we had the stuffed animals, travel essentials for a toddler and a baby. So this is what I have in the toddler's knapsack. So this is what she's going to be going into the plane with. So I have the noise cancelling earphones. So this one, we also have this one. This is the earphones, that's kids earphones, so suitable for kids when she would want to play on the iPad. We have some familiar songs downloaded for her to listen to, so she can use this one, and some activity pouch for her also. So
So this is what it looks like. You have the crayons, the marker, and on the other side you have the pencil, ruler, you have a sharpener, then an eraser. Also a scissors here, but I am not sure it's allowed in the plane, so I removed it. So that's what's also going to go in. And of course, coloring books. So something to keep occupied. So these are coloring books. She'll be using this. And I have a couple of them. So hopefully this helps in keeping them occupied for a 6 hours flight to Nigeria. So this is going to be going with her into the plane. Some stuffed animals for the kids. I asked them to choose who is going to Nigeria with them, and they have their choices. So this is also going to Nigeria.
So this is what was in her knapsack. Because we're traveling from the Netherlands, we thought to also take some familiar snacks with them, just to give that sense of familiarity. So we had snacks like biscuits, top waffles. And then for the baby, of course, he didn't have a knapsack. For his bags, I had diapers, I had lollipop also. His pacifier, I had a pacifier for him.
I have a couple of things. I have some familiar books, a writing pad. There are two of this. There's the other bigger one I'm also going to be taking for this for the baby, and another familiar book just to give a sense of familiarity. And of course, candies. We're not so much of a candy eating family. We try to control as much as we can when it comes to giving the kids candy. But I read that lollipops can also be helpful to calm them down, especially during the pressure change. You want the kids sucking on something. So for the toddler, we're doing lollipop and pacifier for the baby. So that's basically one of the important things for the kids. And I have some diapers for the baby.
Another thing I had in the carry-on bags for the kids was also sandals and extra stockings because they were dressed in sneakers and socks. And just in case there was a need to, air their foot, I ensured that we also had sandals and socks. There could have been need to take a buggy or a stroller, but honestly, I did not go for a stroller or a buggy because I felt that it was just going to be cumbersome, especially when it was time to check it in the airport. I heard some stories where sometimes the buggy or the stroller didn't arrive and all that. I personally didn't want to go into the hassle. So what I did to be able to carry the baby around, especially during stopovers and airport control, was wrapper. I took a wrapper, guys.
And guys, this one is really very important. So this is called wrapper. It's a piece of fabric. I intend to use this fabric to carry my baby on my back during the passport controls and immigration controls because we will not be going with a buggy.
So if you are African, you will understand what I mean. But not just Africans, there are these wraps that you can use to wrap the baby around you. But from where I am from, it is called wrapper. So I literally took a wrapper, a piece of big cloth where I could back my baby. For me, it went faster because I could just easily walk around with him. And it was something that he also enjoyed. So I used a wrapper to move around with him during airport control. So if that is what you want to do, you either take a buggy, a stroller, a wrapper, or a wrap, whichever you think is convenient for you. But I didn't want to go through the whole collapsing the buggy and then getting the stroller in the plane, all that. I didn't want to do that. So I went for taking a wrapper and it went well for me. So you might want to put that into consideration. So for in-flight, another thing we packed for the kids was water bottle. I know that there are some flights where you are not allowed to go in with liquids, but some amount of liquid and some bottle sizes, you could go into the plane with it, especially if it is for the baby. So that was possible for us. So we had water, we had food. I already mentioned that we had familiar snacks. I also made fried yam for them so that I would be sure that there was something to nib around or, have them eat around during wait time. Now, during the flight, what the kids really needed was water bottle. According to our experience, what the kid really needed was the lollipop. The lollipop we gave to our toddler during takeoff and landing because you understand how it could help with, controlling the pressure, which can be very uncomfortable. And then we also gave the pacifier to the toddler, which also was very helpful. So you want to ensure that you have lollipops and pacifier with you. That was something that was very helpful for us. Another thing that was very useful in flight was the noise cancelling earphone. That was really helpful. And they really did not use the activity book we carried for them, because for the baby, I also took an activity pouch for babies that could easily keep them occupied for a long time. But honestly, there was really no need for it. They hardly did any art and crafting. They were more interested in the screen. They hardly really watched anything. They just liked the fun and the thrill of having a screen in front of them. So most of the time they were just, playing around with the screen. And for the adults, personally, I didn't get to watch any movies or feel any relaxation as much as I really wanted to, because I was, conscious of what I was watching. We had our kids sitting close to us. They were sitting in the middle. So I mean, whatever you are watching, they could easily see. So I hardly did not watch anything, but honestly, it's not like I missed anything per se. I already prepared my mind that traveling with children would not be the same as it used to be traveling alone. So I already had that mental preparation. The stuffed animal also was very helpful. The screen was a good distraction, and he was playing with his shoes. Yes. So that could be a tip. Regardless of all the activity things we packed along, the baby played mostly with his shoes and the screen. So this is basically what we took in for the flight. Another thing I know that you might want to take along with you is the mosquito repellent. So you can take the small bottles in your carry-on bag, and if you feel the need to use mosquito repellent in flight, that's fine. Then, if there are medications that you would want to be taken along with you during your flight, it is advisable to take all medications in your carry on bag, but ensure that you declare them during check in so that they know that you have medications. Do you understand? For us, we needed to take malaria medications, which was compulsory, and also anti allergy medications and the ORS medication, just in case diarrhea and all. And we did not want to risk having it delayed in the check-in bags and all that. So we ensure that we carried them in our carry-on bag. So you want to ensure that you have your medications in your carry-on bag. Because we're going to Nigeria, we packed the mosquito net, we packed the insect repellent cream, we packed the anti-itchy cream. We also took with us diarrhea medications just in case, right? And then sunscreen. Please check that your sunscreen are valid, especially for when you're traveling. And if you have doubts, please just buy a new set of sunscreen. So we ensured we had our sunscreen with us, sun caps, sunglasses. These are things that you want to just have with you. I know that yes, there could be plenty of buying them when you arrive, but I mean, if you can take them, why not just take them along? These are things we took with us. We also took our swimming clothes with us and floaters just in case. It's always nice to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So that is what we did. Diapers, guys, diapers, especially for babies. You want to take as much diapers that you can carry along with you for in-flight and for the first few days that you arrive in your destination. And then when you're settled in, you can be able to figure out where to buy your diapers. So what we did is that we also took enough diapers that will carry us along, during flights and when we arrive. However, I know that for some flights they provide diapers, but you just want to play safe, especially when you're not sure of the diaper size and available. In addition to all this, we also took familiar books with us. So we took some children books that they are familiar with. We were able to take about two each or so, just so they can have something familiar to experience while in Nigeria. Another thing we took with us was Legos. So because we're going to stay in an apartment where we know there are no kids, right? We decided to also bring some familiar play stuff that can keep them busy. And this was possible because we had some space. The easiest thing we took was the Lego or the Duplo train and the rails. So what we did was we just took a couple of, rails and some pieces of Legos that they can use to make something reasonable. And we also took the train. But keep in mind that the train contains battery and you want to remove the battery before getting on the flight with it. So this is also what we did. It's just something that we can easily carry and something that they are familiar with in order to keep them, busy. Remember to take body lotions for the kids because these are things you don't want to forget. Body lotions, nappy cream, hair conditioner, because of the peculiarity of our children's hair. We ensure that these are also things we took for the kids, right? And guess what? If it happens to be the first flight experience for your children, you can inform the cabin crew members that it is their first time. And what happened with us for Lufthansa was that the kids got this first travel certificate. And the fun thing is that the pilot or the crew members could fill it in and sign. That could also be some cool keepers item for the kids, especially when it's attached to their first flight experience. So you might want to also try that. You never know. And remember to always have the wipes, the baby wipes. Have a good amount of baby wipes with you because you'll be needing it to wipe the hands or wipe the table and all that, right? You'll also be needing that. So that was something that was really helpful for us. So I know that while sharing our first flight experience with a baby and a toddler, I would have missed out on some information that could be useful to you. The good thing is I am currently creating a digital travel checklist that will be essential for you when you're traveling with a baby and a toddler, where I would list out all the travel essentials you will be needing for yourself and also when traveling with your kids, especially young kids. When the digital travel checklist is ready, I'm going to be providing an information with the link to where you can get the checklist. It is going to be a printable checklist. All you need to do is download and print out. And I know it to be a very helpful guide for when you're preparing to travel with your family for that next big trip. I hope that this video is helpful. And if you're looking to travel anytime soon, I wish you a very safe, fun, happy trip. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Yours truly, Princess. Bye for now. Holy Spirit, help me leading me to make this video let it be useful, let it be empowering and reaching. Let people that need it find it and take it. Encourage somebody in Jesus' name. So may grant me wisdom, grant me utterances, remind me on the right points to make and to communicate them effectively and clearly by your grace, by your power, by your help. Amen.